That was so
Okay,
funny.
I've been in the main roles too much. I'm being a journalist.
Okay.
What does Durb want to do?
I'll prosecute JoJo. Or JoJo's
Okay,
Okay.
I'll be a
client.
judge.
All right. Dude,
I'll try my
being a
best.
witness was super fun. Dude, you should try that.
I just want to draw. I just want to draw. I just want to draw a photo.
Okay.
Being a witness seems funny because you have to pay attention to both in case you get called for both.
I wish
Yeah,
I had
that's
more
true.
space for notes because I was writing down like extensive. I'd said, and I ran out.
I'm gonna
I'm about to get a real
I
piece
was
of
like, damn.
paper.
A real
I'm gonna be honest, I thought about it way later, but I was like, wait. I was like, Patricia was like a dog mom. I should have had the dog come up and testify against Patricia for being a bad dog mom, but I thought about it too late.
That would have been evil. That would have been
I
evil.
need to download Notepad like regular.
It would have been funny.
What's this face doing? Oh, Judge is so hard to hit. Ow, what the fuck? Is there a delete? Okay. Let's just get this. Can we? Wait. Test. Oh my god, it saves. Okay.
I interrupt the court to mention that we have a shared hype train on the way. Chats, please ignite the boosters.
Spending money in my channel?
Hell yeah,
Green? You
chat.
like green? Like the
Give
fucking
JoJo your money. Give Vushi your money.
Money in my channel? That's the
Whoosh.
worst part.
Voosh needs 79 more sub points for his plus PP.
79. Come on, you guys can do that. 79. Help Vush get 70-30.
79
it's
is
just
so
not as
doable. Remember
sexy
that
as
one day we were all
69.
having a bad day. They got like 8 in 5 minutes. You guys got this.
Yeah. All right, chat. Whip out those wallets. Whip out those credit cards. Subscribe to Voosh. No gifties, but subscribe. Get that 70-30 up.
Taylor
Copy.
gift.
If you can do it for me, you can do it for Vushi.
Man, with Cameron and Flap in here, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I want to play this with like 9 people.
Yeah, literally. Sir Crank a lot. Attempting to bribe
Oh.
wildlife officials with bush light and gator
Oh.
jerky. Damn, Derp, you really went personal on that one.
No, I didn't. I don't live in Florida.
Oh god, they censored the balls. That's the best part.
D salami hand.
Salami hand. That's the best part.
Oh god,
Alright,
they
let's
censored
see
the
here.
balls.
So Sir Crank a
Girl,
lot
I
of
think
things
it's
have attempted
Southern.
to bribe wildlife officials with
Mia,
bush light
thank you
and
for the
gator jerky.
56 months. I appreciate it. And Ben, thank you
But
for
I'm
the
curious
tier
what
3.
the bribery was for.
6 points. Thank you so much, Mitch. What
Your
2
Honor,
butterflies
the
do you want?
bribery
And Vince, you're gonna get a giant
against,
butterfly.
or the bribery charge, attempted bribery charge against Sir Crankalot
Where's the?
due
Here it is.
to the
Thank
Sir
you so much. I
Crankalot
appreciate
getting
you.
caught by the wildlife officials with too many fish in their cooler over the legal
Bumperfly
limit
singular for the colors.
of 25. They had 40 fish in this cooler.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys
that's
can see it
illegal.
as good
So
on the
wait,
side.
so
but
they
I'm
were
trying to
trying
get
to-
over here.
35.
The limit of fish to be in a cooler is 40 or 35.
Yep.
Oops.
So attempted to get out of the
Well,
simple
then with
Wildlife
ticket.
officials with bush light and gator jerky.
Sir
Okay,
Crankalot
so
decided
you're
to try and
saying
bribe
that-
them out of it.
You're saying that there was a limit of fish per fish in cooler is 35, but they had 40, so they bribed the wildlife officials with bush light and gator jerky to pass with 40 instead of 35.
Yeah, which would have been a simple $500 ticket. And now they're looking at jail time.
And then, here, before we do actual evidence, do you have an opening statement?
Yes. I would just like to say that I have so much evidence, staggering actually, against this, and will prove
This
that
is
my
the
client
worst
is
house
actually
ever.
a good
Lavender, I got
civil
you.
worker, who does their part in the community, and everyone looks up to them.
All right, all right.
Interesting. We'll see how that goes. I tried that defense.
Sir Durbington, do
I tried
you
that defense.
have your first piece of evidence you would like to show that proves that Sir Crankalot was attempting to bribe wildlife officials?
1 second, Your Honor.
Take your time. While we wait, please remember to give Voosh your money. We are on a level 5 shared hype train, but please subscribe to twitch.tv/Voosh. No gift subs, no prime subs. Tier 1, preferably tier 2 or tier 3, if you can afford
Yeah,
it.
hype train has 2 minutes left.
But also, if you give any money to any part of the shared hype train, you will get shared hype train only emotes.
That's true.
True. How many? 73? Is that how far Voosh is? 73? Or it might be more or less now, I mean?
Yeah, roughly, yes. 73.
Your Honor, it seems like
Yeah.
I grabbed the wrong evidence file. Hold on. I'm trying to...
Okay.
I don't know what Sir Cranks-a-lot looks like. So they're just going to wear a really pretty dress.
Okay, the first piece of evidence I will put forth are these bloody clothes full of fish blood,
Ooh, I love your sweaty, hot biddies all over my fucking body.
showing
After a
that
long
they, in
day
fact,
of work, Kanye
were
West goes to
fishing
his Kanye
or
nest
near
to take his
fish.
Kanye rest.
Oh my god.
He wakes up
oh
feeling his
my
Kanye
That's all I
vest.
got right now.
Then he'll get Kanye dressed on his Kanye vest to go on a Kanye quest. He goes to church and becomes Kanye blessed, then to a hotel room to be a Kanye guest. Then to school to take
Oh
his Kanye test.
My god.
He forgot to brush his teeth. Did he run
Sorry,
out
I
of
definitely
Kanye crest?
wasn't distracted.
His neighbor stole
2 or
it.
3
What a
subscribing or
Kanye
anything.
pest.
Oh god, they censored the balls.
Well, that's the
That's
best
the
part.
best part.
And they give the tier 3. You're
Wow.
also
Anyway,
on
look at
Sailor.
those
tier
They give it a tier 3 as well.
Oh
Yeah.
god, they censored the balls.
Anyway,
You guys
okay,
are both
so
gonna
you
get
said
a giant
the fish
butterfly.
blood on the
Thank
clothes.
you.
Can you elaborate
Giant
why there would be fish blood on these
butterflies.
clothes?
All down through the angels.
Oh,
Thank you guys. I
let me
appreciate
see.
you. Oh, let's see here.
Yes, I can actually.
Okay,
I
go
would
ahead.
like to put forth this paper bag as
Bum, bum.
evidence.
Mhm.
This paper bag is
So
from the
Burnful wearing
local
another one.
grocery store. At said grocery store, they have a large container where you can buy fish directly out of a live bin, right? A live tank, if you will.
Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm.
The game
tank.
comes out in a week, Flap. Yes. But anyways, that is where the fish blood came from because
Oh
my
god, they
client
censored the
went
balls.
to the store to get a couple of
That's
fish
the
to
best
grill up for
part.
dinner a week ago, and
Ow, my head.
just so happened that when they were walking
my
out of the
head.
store, they tripped and fell.
Breathing of the
on
tier 2.
the paper
I
bag of
appreciate
fish,
it. What
and
3
the
butterflies
fish
you
guts
want?
spilled
Color
out
wise.
everywhere,
Thank you
all
so
over
much.
the
I
bag, all
appreciate you.
over
I
their
love
clothes,
you.
outside of the
Let me know.
store. And so instead of going back in and buying more fish, they went home and they were like, I'll just go fishing tomorrow and catch my own fish instead of wasting more money. So that is what happened there, and that's how we got here.
Okay, 59 by the way, 59 away for Vushi.
Mm,
Okay, so far
How do I draw a gator?
our evidence is that apparently there was fish blood on the clothes. What I would like to know is how is the fish blood on the clothes relevant to them bribing officials? Is it just because they had so many
Plum
fish?
lavender and red. I got you.
It's
There's
just
a lot of
Let me just
it's
let me
just meant
submit this.
to correlate that they were in fact near a cooler
What's
full
his
of
name?
fish,
Sir
with the fish
Cranklot.
blood getting all over them.
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor, my
okay.
client does not deny being full of fish, but they had exactly 30 fish in their cooler, not 40. So
He said gator
Okay.
jerky, right?
understandable. All right. So this just proves that they were
Ooh.
near fish, but oh my god, we love that! Breaking news. Sir Crank a lot in nature. What's in the bag?
What's in the bag?
Indeed. What is in the bag?
Oh
But so
my
just
God.
because that there was
Plum, lavender, and red.
blood, fish blood on the clothes, is that enough evidence to say that there was a
Lavender?
bribe? Can you
No,
do
Your
you have any
Honor.
more evidence
No,
to
it's not.
bring? Do you have any more evidence
I
to bring
do.
to the court?
Plum.
So while the wildlife officials were on scene, there was multiple of them, right?
In red. Thank you guys again. I appreciate
One was
you.
talking to Sir Crank a lot. The other was chasing a chicken that just ran past him. Okay.
Okay, we need to get inspiration for the next.
They got the
big
chicken
scoop.
and they noticed that it had a big ass cloaca. All right. So they took a picture of it, and in this picture, if you look in the background, you can see Mr. Sir Crank-a-Lot with a bush light and gator jerky in their hand, offering it to the wildlife official.
I see.
Right in front of my salad.
Interesting. Right in front of my salad too. Indubitably.
So in that picture, they're holding a bush light in jerky. How
Two
many?
packs.
How many? 2 packs. Okay. Because how many wildlife officials were there, allegedly
There were
being
3.
bribed? There were 3.
3.
Well, only one got bribed. It was the one talking to Sir Crank-a-Lot. The others started chasing the big.
Oh god, they
awakened
censored the
chicken.
balls.
Okay.
That's the best part.
All right.
For scientific reasons. They had to document it.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And what do you have to say
Val,
for
thank you
that,
so much for
Attorney
the
Jojo?
sub. What 2 butterflies do you
Your Honor, I don't
want?
think I'm even going to bother with that, as I don't feel like
Guys,
it
there's
is like,
20 seconds
relevant
left.
to
Get
my
Bush and
story.
get ready. Sorry, excuse me.
I don't feel like that it is relevant to my defense at all. The chicken cloaca has something to do with the bribery of police. The pictures do prove that the officials were there, but not anything that happened foregoing that. So, I would like to put into evidence this set of keys. My client happens to have
Girl,
a cooler that they
this is
keep
gonna
their
be the
fish in
stupidest
that
thing.
locks with a set of keys. So this proves that
Oh.
the cooler that the fish were found in was indeed not my client's, as it was a cooler with a push lock instead of a key lock. Furthermore,
Oh.
I would like to prove that, one moment,
I don't even know what chickens look like anymore.
the fish in the cooler that was found were purchased at this store with these suspicious receipts in an attempt to frame my client, because the cooler was then placed near where my client was fishing.
Oh. Do you have a potential motive for why they would be framed?
They caught too many fish and they just needed to pawn some off because they forgot that they brought more. So they framed my client and pawned all their extra fish off on him. They had another cooler. So they indeed had 2 coolers full
Finds
of
the
fish.
smallest cloaca.
Also, I don't know if you saw that breaking news that just came in. Sir Cranks a lot finds chicken with smallest cloaca alone.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Mm. Alone.
But no, my client also has a 6-fingered handprint. So you'll see that if you
Agree
dust
to
the
blue, you
handprint
got it.
of the cooler that was found in question, my client's 6-fingered handprint will not be on it.
All right. So it sounds like, if true, they were hoping to just get maybe a measly $500, because I think it was, yeah, it's a $500 ticket if found with more than 35 fish in the cooler. But that doesn't explain, if they framed them, why
I need a
they would.
green and blue. Did I not do
get
green and blue?
arrested.
Did I just do 2 greens or something?
What do you have to say about that?
Your Honor, I think this piece of evidence should show all we need to see here today. If you take a look at this,
Oh my God, we're getting the Stitch TV stream
You'll
VOD
see-
so much.
the wildlife officials in Florida have started streaming like a body
Okay.
cam footage, almost like Cops, but wildlife edition. But it's
Okay.
just their body cam, right? And you'll see on this there's multiple clips that show, and these are featured clips, mind you, that show the officials arriving on the scene, and then the defendant opens the cooler, shows them, they count the fish, and then when they start questioning the amount of fish,
Hang on,
the defendant offered them a beer and 2 packs of gator jerky for them to forget about the whole thing.
And what does Omega Lol mean? Because in this clip you were showing of them handing, which that is very interesting evidence, giving the wildlife official a handshake and handing him a bag of jerky and a beer. And then you see in the chat a lot of Omega Lols and Keck W's. I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate?
Yes, that's what the degens use when they think something's funny. And when they see someone getting
Does
bribed.
it stand for something?
It's just kind of like the laughing emoji, but Stitch TV's version.
Okay. But so our defendant here is saying that they were being framed, which, if true, it would seem that the wildlife officials are maybe just trying to get people to pay $500 and just go on their way. But instead, our defendant apparently ran and was tackled by the wildlife officials and then arrested. But on the VOD, you clearly see them handing them the beef jerky and the Busch Light. Is that not for a bribe? Was that for something else?
May I add this extra clip that shows
Wildlife officials found dead with several fish.
Your Honor. May I also include this clip that shows 2 wildlife officials on a different stream
showing them dead. They dead.
chasing a
If
chicken,
you're
looking
dead.
at its cloaca.
If you have the proof of it. Is there anything that you would like to add to that, defendant?
Yes,
Attorney
yes,
defendant?
Your Honor. If you look here at the affidavit, you'll see the names of the people who were supposed quote-unquote eyewitnesses to my client having more than 30 fish in his cooler. But if you also go back, we can't ask them now because they're dead, but if you look through their history, you'll see that the people that were the eyewitnesses were the direct relatives of the officials that were found.
Oh, fuck.
And I think this is a conflict of interest.
So wait, did you say that they are dead?
That's what the breaking news
Breaking
said.
news!
The
Wildlife
breaking news
officials
said
were
the
found dead
wildlife
with several
officials, but
fish.
you said this was the relatives? The relatives are also dead? I'm surprised
I'm
that's not in the
saying
headline.
in the affidavit, the eyewitness reports that led to my client being arrested were the relatives of the officials. So it seems to me that it was fully just like, oh, hey, brother, I caught too many fish. Come on down here and I'll give you some beer. And if you arrest this guy, we'll pawn this fish off on him. Can you do that? And the wildlife officials clearly did it because my client's sitting here today, innocent, having caught only 30 fish. And those officials are dead now. And my client's been in jail this whole time.
So you're saying they only caught
Oh, I'm gonna
30?
My client only caught 30 fish. In his personal cooler that you can unlock with the key that his 6 fingerprints are on, there's only 30 fish in that cooler. They took the other cooler that was full of the 40 fish and they put it next to his to frame him after they, with the fish that they
Why are the
brought at the
officials
store,
Southern?
through the receipts
They're
that I
mama's
showed,
cousins.
the paper bag, no, not the paper bag. Sorry, yeah, the suspicious receipts. They brought fish because they weren't convinced they were going to catch any, and then they caught fish. So they ended up having 40 in their cooler. And to avoid the fine, they pawned the cooler off on my client and called their cousin, who is a cop, and to come down and clean it all up. That is what I think happened.
So was your client was not afraid of
Oops.
being over the limit? Because they
My client
weren't over-
was not over the.
We
He had
can't
caught
send
his 30
anymore.
fish for the day, and
already
he was
sent
going to
our
go home,
3.
and then he was suddenly arrested. When he should have just been fined and given a ticket instead, which is wild.
Your Honor, please note that, as I stated in the beginning, that would have been the outcome, but then they tried to bribe the wildlife officials, and that's why we're here today.
There is literally no proof of that. The body cam
Uh,
footage on the Stitch stream VOD literally cuts out at that moment, as cop body cams usually do.
Well, you can see it on the other stream as well.
I mean, we
In the
can see
cloaca
something
stream.
occurring from far away, but it's too far away. We can't hear.
They played paper
the conversations
bag,
that are taking
mama.
place.
I would not make you wear it for a hate fuck.
You can see an
Well-
exchange happening, or an attempt at an exchange, or some kind of conversation, but there is no actual exchange.
Bush Light
that is
instead of
made,
Corona
and you
is
can't hear the
wild.
conversation.
So are you saying in the Stitch.tv VOD, was your client stopped at all by the wildlife officials for being over the limit? Is that what you're saying in the VOD?
The wildlife officials approached him and told him that he was over the limit. He turned around, just look at his cooler, but as he went to reach for his cooler key, he was then tackled.
Okay.
And what is the evidence that he was tackled?
He's arrested. So he was at bare minimum handcuffed, and to do that, you
That doesn't mean he was tackled.
We did say on the Stitch.tv stream VOD that they were stopped and tackled.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard that. I haven't taken as many notes this time because there's only like fucking 8 lines and it's useless.
Is there anything you would like to add to this? Any witnesses, prosecutor?
No, I think I've given enough evidence. I'm pretty content.
You have 2 more spaces if you want to throw something out there. I also have a witness that I could call.
Okay, I do have one more piece of evidence.
Okay, you have the floor.
This was also included in the Stitch TV. It's one of the clips.
Hi,
I don't know if
Joe.
you saw this one, but it is when the defendant became irate once he found out that he had too many fish, so he pulled his balls out, and the stream got censored.
Censored
Oh my.
balls.
Yeah.
Was this before or after he was tackled?
We're currently playing a
This was
sock
after.
court drama game. We decided to be the journalist, but we already
Your
put
Honor,
in
So
our
it was
my
evidence.
client would like to attest that
We already
he
put in all our
wasn't pulling
evidence.
his
We're just
balls
waiting.
out. He
We're
was
waiting for the
tackled and he was
outcome.
wearing loose basketball shorts, and his balls slipped out as the officers were very rough.
But this is not
You'll
on the
also
VOD, right? 'Cause
see
you said
he
the
was
VOD
wearing-
was cut off.
You'll also
Well,
see.
the main VOD was cut off. The second VOD did show that he was tackled, but we couldn't hear the conversation. That's what I said.
And what were you saying, prosecutor?
Well, you'll also see in that video. Yes, he's wearing basketball shorts, but he's also wearing like almost spandex material boxer briefs.
Your Honor, my client cannot help it that he has a gargantuan watermelon ball.
I know. I love.
I don't
this
think
game.
body
This
shaming
so
is something
fun.
that should happen in a court of law.
Did you say that you had a witness you wanted to testify?
I do. I have my client's house. It could attest to some of the events. Let me.
Making sure
I
don't
can't
click
call
on the
my-
wrong thing.
I can't call my witness until I have the beep boop.
Oh, he's there.
Okay.
He's there.
I just put him there for
Okay,
you.
cool.
I just want to make
Okay,
sure
cool.
I don't accidentally click on the wrong thing and mark someone as guilty.
Okay.
And what is your name, sir? Who is
Oh,
this?
yes, thank you. My name is Brian O'Connor. And I am the loving husband of Sir Crank-A-Lot.
He's so dreamy.
I was accompanying my husband at the store the other day when he went to buy some fish for dinner, and he slipped and fell, and the bag of the fish and the blood all over him. I was there for all of that, so I can attest to that. It's also on footage, but the Meyer wouldn't give us the footage, so we don't have that. However, he was very distraught. He went home, and he was like, I feel so bad because I was going to get all this fish for you. We were going to have a hot romantic dinner, but I dropped the fish, and I was like, baby, it's okay, don't worry about it. And then he was like, No, I know what I'll do. I still have my fishing license and all my gear. Let's go down to the lake tomorrow and I'll catch some fish and I'll come back tomorrow night. I'll make a big ass dinner and we'll have a great time. And my husband called me and put the phone in his pocket and he was like, just listen to this in case something happens. I'm being framed. And he put the phone in his pocket and I heard the police saying that he had too many fish in his cooler and he was like, can I reach into my pocket and get my key because my cooler's locked? And they were like, yeah, go ahead. And as soon as he put his hand in his pocket, they were like, whoa, sir, stop! And they threw him on the ground and his balls came out.
His balls came out. Hi, Selkie.
Honestly, that's why we're together. But it was a whole ordeal, and he was arrested, and I tried to bail him out, but the bail was set at like $9 million, and I couldn't get him out. So this is my best chance at getting my husband home.
Was this phone
I
conversation
can't wait to have like
presented
jurors and
to
everything.
police
It's gonna be so funny.
as evidence?
No, Your Honor.
It wasn't, but that's only because we have a very intimate relationship and there's very scandalous photos on there that I didn't really want. It's a very small town, you know. I didn't really want, like I said, my husband has really big balls. And so
Rumors say his balls are bigger than the town they live in.
They really are. I just didn't want scandals, you know, going around town. So I didn't submit my phone as evidence because there's just a lot of sensitive material in there, and I don't trust the law enforcement in this town. Case in point, I think you could understand that. So it wasn't submitted as evidence, but I'm hoping you can take my testimony, as I have nothing really to gain from any of this. I just wanted a fish dinner, you know.
Can I get that recording real quick so I can listen to it if we're gonna use that as evidence?
Apparently, it wasn't submitted as evidence, and
It wasn't
they're just hoping
submitted,
that
but we can
testimony is
pretend it
enough.
was.
But so your husband dropped the fish? Is that what you said would happen, and that's why they had to go out and fish some more?
Oh my god, I have
Or, like, fish
crayons
themselves
in my
instead of-
fucking
If you look
my
at
pocket.
to the
Colored
evidence
fucking.
that was submitted earlier, the prosecution said that he was found with bloody fish clothes. They were found in his possessions, and that's why he had bloody fish clothes. We do our laundry on Saturdays, so the bloody fish clothes were still in front of the washer.
You want those big fat balls back?
And they just came home bloody and upset and decided to go out and fish.
Yeah, well, he went to sleep early because he was upset, and he woke up at 5 a.m. and got his fishing
Objection,
gear and
the
went out
witness
to
is a
catch fish. And then I
prostitute.
got a phone call at 2 p.m. that he put the phone in his pocket. I didn't even get to talk to him, and then I heard all of this ruckus, and so here we are. And I really think he's being framed.
Did you hear when your husband was concerned that he was being framed and he put his phone in
That's
his
my
pocket?
job. I
Did
was
you hear
the
them
I was the
mention
journalist,
the
but I already
limit
submitted
on
my
fish at all?
photos.
Well, I didn't hear the mention of fish because
I was supposed
knew
to
that
do
it was
the breaking
35.
news, but I
But I
already
did
released
hear
all my breaking
rustling in the
news.
back of, like, behind the officers of other people. But I don't know what they look like or who they were, but I heard laughing in the background behind the officers. So I just felt like something was awry and it needs to be investigated further before my husband can be found at fault.
Did you
Okay.
say they were
Prosecutor?
laughing?
Laughing, yes, they were laughing.
As you can see in that video, they were clearly laughing at the size of that chicken's cloaca. They weren't laughing at the client or the defendant.
It wasn't the police officers or the law enforcement that were laughing. It was people that were, like, clearly farther away, like in the background. I couldn't
I
really
love his
hear
giant
what
balls.
they
They're so
were
hot.
laughing
Please.
about or talking about, but I just heard big background
Please.
laughter. You know what I mean?
Do you have a witness that you would like to bring up, Prosecutor Derb?
I do not. I do not have any witnesses that were at the scene.
Okay. Do you have any more evidence that you would like to bring to the front?
The only other evidence I have is actually the and I'm sorry, but these are skin tight underwear.
Oh,
Clearly,
my.
they did not just fall out. He intentionally pulled those balls out. And honestly,
Your
that
Honor,
might
my
also
client's
be.
balls are the size of watermelon. They literally hang down to the edge of the short. Any rustling or tugging in any variety is going to happen.
Now, can we prove this used underwear was, in fact, Sir Crankalot's?
Like I said, it's
Prosecutor?
all on recording.
Is there any
Those are his
markings?
underwear. He will attest to that. Those are his underwear. But the sheer size and structure of his scrotum, what would lead you to believe that it's definitely possible it could come barreling out of the shore.
Okay, so you are confirming that the used underwear is in fact Sir Crankalot's, your client.
Yes. We're not here to lie.
Understandable. So, if you look at the used underwear, I'm sorry that you have to look at it, but if you look at the used underwear,
I wonder how many
size
times
is
you
your
have to.
client?
I wonder if we can fill the courtroom with that shit.
Not their balls, but
Um,
just like their size for like their underwear.
I think he's a large, I believe. Yeah, he's a large.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because what size does that say on the underwear, prosecutor?
It looks like the tag is rubbed a little raw. Can't tell.
It's not
Yeah,
despawning as far as I can see. They're
He does
staying.
have a pair of
used.
those exact underwear, so if those aren't his, it's just a crazy random happenstance.
Okay, it's just they don't seem like they have much wiggle room, so we have
I can't stand
one
up to
side
confirm
saying
it though.
that the balls can pop
No,
out.
I think
and
it's
one
making a
side saying
noise
that
every
they're
time I
too
do
tight
it, so it's probably
and that they would
annoying.
not. So just curious about the size. Okay, there's no more
Your Honor,
evidence to.
I would like
Yes?
to note that if the balls were indeed this massive, I feel like there would be statements from the wildlife officials or someone else at the sheer size of these balls.
He doesn't
Ow.
go in public very often. He just wanted to go to the store, get some fish to just,
But they were out
Yeah.
in front of everyone. I would think someone would have said, like, damn, those are some balls on that guy or something.
Was there
You mean
anybody
during
in
the
You hear that
altercation?
on video.
Was there anyone in the Stitch TV stream VOD? Is there proof of the chat reacting to the size of the balls?
No, because that, like I said, that part was blurred once they saw the underwear coming off.
Ah, okay. Didn't realize they had live censoring on.
Oh, you think it makes the boop only for
Stitch.tv.
me?
Yeah, it's a full production.
I see you, Boosh. Okay.
They're not
Well, no-
despawning. I'm just curious if like we can fill the room.
Yeah,
I
you can
wanted to
throw
do that
ink on
earlier,
the
but I was
bottom.
afraid to start lagging or something. Okay, but we do not have any more evidence brought forward. Would you like to say your closing statements? Wait, did I give it? There we go. Would you like to say your closing statements?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
Are they
I
all just
believe
going
my
on
evidence
to
I brought
terms
forth shows. You can see in the background of the thick ass cloaca pic. Sir Crankalot clearly gesturing a bush light and 2 packs of gator jerky towards the wildlife official.
Okay.
Oh my god, it would probably take
And
forever
then on the
to fill this
Stitch
place.
TV clips, you can clearly see that defendants started getting nervous once they started counting the fish in the cooler. And I would have figured if he was set up like they claim, he would have said something in the clip.
It would take like 700 to cover that wall. Like we'd be here all day.
Okay.
You would have to get
Anything
like an
else you'd like
auto
to add,
clicker or
prosecutor?
something. Yeah.
You have 30 seconds.
Only I can hear the boop? Oh,
Um,
okay.
I believe that's really it.
Okay. Defense Attorney Jojo, your closing
Yes.
statements?
My closing statements are that I think I have thoroughly proved that my client did not do this, and that he was, at bare minimum, potentially trained. If not, it could have been a misplacing of a cooler or what. But those fish in the unlocked cooler were not his. I proved key that he has a
Oh,
key
you
for
can't
his
do it
own
very
personal
fast.
that has a name on it, and he has a very strange. He has 6 fingers, as well as having gargantuan baskets. So that cooler was not his. The fingerprints prove it. The affidavit, the witnesses are related to the officials that arrested my client and potentially sexually harassed him by making his balls come out, but tackling him with no purpose whatsoever. And then the bloody fish clothes were obviously because of the bag spill the day prior. I think that my client is very innocent,
We're
not
barely
guilty
covering
person
the
who
floor.
was just trying to make a fish dinner for
Barely
his
covering the floor.
and was caught up in a scandal where some drunk idiots fished up too much fish and had to call their cop friend or cop relative to come save them, and then, you know, that's just how it goes. How it goes when you're green-faced, you know? People just mistreat you.
Okay. Well, looking at the evidence that was presented to me in this courtroom today, we have bloody clothes that is confirmed to be fish blood, but we cannot prove that that was at the wildlife preserve or at the grocery store, but it has indeed been confirmed to be fish blood. There was cloaca pics, and there was laughing on the VOD for said cloaca, and we do have the VOD proof of the defendant being tackled, and we do hear laughing and see, in fact, the Busch Light and Gator Jerky. However, your client, Miss JoJo,
I'm getting like
apparently
fucking
only had
tetnite,
30 fish. The limit is 35.
Yeah.
So
tetanus, not tetanus.
if your client only had
Cloaca.
30 and not the limit of 35, but the prosecutor claims that there was 40, it would have only been a $500 ticket. But it seems that they were still, regardless, trying to, maybe out of nervousness, just try to get away, and then was tackled. And somehow their balls had flown out of their underwear. But we do have the key for the specific
Girl, I could
lockbox
be here all
for...
day. I should have started at the beginning of the trial.
Oops, I didn't mean to click on that.
Can I add
we do
something,
have...
Your Honor?
What is it?
I just want to point out that this isn't about the amount of fish. This is about the attempt to bribe wildlife officials.
Yeah, I couldn't find any proof of that. The one video shows a conversation taking place. Again, like I said, is the other set of cameras, so there is no your audio as it's farther away. And my client's husband did not testify that they heard any of that, as well as the phone was in my client's pocket for safety.
Well, the charges are for attempt to bribe wildlife officials. And the only way that they would be attempting to bribe is if they were past the fish limit, correct? So there's no other point that it would be considered a bribe. It would just be considered jerky and Busch Light with, you know, with the homies, I guess, if there was no bribery, if there was no laws being broken.
God damn.
So why would they get tackled if there was not over that amount of fish then?
I think I proved that in my statements about someone was attempting to set him up because they had too many fish. They just pushed their cooler into his area, their cop relative, and were like, hey buddy, come save me. Cops had to do something
Save
to
me!
make that seem relevant.
Yet there's no record of this
Save
defendant
me!
saying this to the officer,
Saying what to the officers?
that it wasn't their cooler.
Well, of course the officers wouldn't put that down
In the VOD,
because they had a
do
job
we-
and it was to protect their relative.
in the VOD, do we hear the defendant basically defending themselves or asking why they're being arrested, or were they just giggling and then handing them said beef jerky and Busch Light? Because if they're being accused of bribery, but they were also being framed, wouldn't they would be freaking out, wouldn't they? They wouldn't be very calm about it, and clearly they
My
were
client is
tackled.
very nervous.
And there's
They
no
look very
record
nervous
on
right now.
the footage either showing that they denied the cooler was theirs, which arguably would be the first thing I would do. if
I
got
mean, to be
accused.
fair, if he thought that
Objection!
He-
Objection!
was under the limit, 35, 30, 40, however many fish is a lot to count, right? So if he was being accused of that, he would have probably panicked and been like, oh, maybe I miscounted, and like maybe asked for a moment to count, but he needed to reach for his key again, and that.
The evidence of the Stitch TV stream VOD unfortunately does not start until you see the defendant, Sir Crankalot, handing the bushlight and gator jerky over to wildlife official C with a nice handshake and many omega lols in the chat. And then you clearly see some type of confrontation with wildlife officials A and B as he is forced to the ground.
Hey, and boy.
Your Honor, I will state that I have it written down. The video does start with the officials arriving on scene.
But the clip presented, I thought, was just the handshake. But maybe the entire VOD does show the whole thing. Was there, because there was multiple clips or multiple VODs, right? Because of the censorship of the balls.
Yes, there was 2 different streams. One for the cloaca chicken and one for the body cam footage of the one talking to Sir Crank a lot.
And the second
Yeah,
VOD
we've been
starts
busting
already
on the floor.
with the defendant on the floor with their balls exposed.
Correct.
And the first one starts with them already on the scene, you said?
It starts with them arriving on the scene.
Arriving on the scene? Does it show wildlife official C shaking hands with Sir Crankalot?
I do not recall. I would have to take another look.
Okay. Because the phone conversation and on the Stitch TV VOD, I don't think there was confirmation that the client was... They weren't questioning that they were being framed, other than the witness testimony said that their husband put their phone in their pocket in case something happens.
Yes, my client is very nervous.
Right?
General.
Okay. Because it's confusing to me how the defendant apparently only had 30 fish, but then was framed to have 40, but you see in the VOD of them arriving at the scene and then being distracted by the cloaca and having wildlife officials C shaking hands and accepting a gator jerky in bushlight when there was only 2 packs, and then wildlife officials A and B tackling defendant to the ground.
Finally, the middle of the floor is almost fucking...
without the
finally full.
defendant full panicking that they were being framed.
Yes, at that moment when the police arrived, he wasn't aware of how many fish were in his pool.
Honestly,
That's
this
why
game
he
is
got
very well
nervous.
optimized to be
And
handling
he
all this
couldn't
shit
check
without
his phone to count
it
because the key
fucking
in his
up.
pocket. But it also goes to show, how would the police have known that he had more than 30 fish in his cooler if it was locked?
Right.
I hate the environment.
It does look like popcorn all over the floor.
It does.
It does. It looks like popcorn. And let me see. I'm just looking at the evidence. And the suspicious receipts were submitted as evidence.
The fuck? Oof?
Oh no!
Oof?
Oh no! Where did they
fucking
go?
Disappeared.
Where half the people go?
Where'd Judge go?
Where Judge Judy and Executioner go? Oh no!
Taylor was mid-sentence and she just disappeared. So did Derp. They disappeared at the same time.
They got raptured. Ah! Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that?
What the fuck? Who the fuck is that?
Who the fuck is that?
Is that
Why did you go back in the middle of the fucking game? What? It says he's in the game again. Hello, Derb? Can you hear us?
Herb, are you here with us in spirit?
Hello?
I hear you.
Hello? Where are you?
I'm at the menu.
What? We're still in the fucking courtroom.
Yeah. I got kicked.
Okay, Sailor, who
Is that
won?
you? Can you hear us?
Sailor, who won? I guess we have to call this adjourned.
I think we just have to make
Wait,
it in the
hello?
audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hear you.
we're
I'm
still
sure
in
you're
the
here.
courtroom, but you and Derb aren't here.
I tried to rejoin. I tried to rejoin, and I'm just stuck on the screen now.
Oh my god. Okay, well,
DC.
who won? Who was guilty and not? Was he
At
guilty or
bare
not
minimum, This is
guilty?
a mistrial, okay?
Wait, can someone else like vote, or can
No.
we even vote now?
No, we just want the answer. We just want to know who did it.
I'm gonna say they're not guilty.
Not guilty. Bum, bum, bum.
Hello?
Hello.
The code worked.
It actually worked, yeah.
Actually worked.
Nice.
All right, I'm getting you back in the Judge Judy position.
Okay. Derb wants to be a bailiff. We can do that. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I kind of want to see what Juror does.
That's
Did
fine.
we-
Yeah, you can do that.
did we try
Whatever
that
you
yet?
want.
No, we have
No,
not had
we
a
didn't.
juror yet. Juror.
Wait, my role is watch, comment, and influence the judge.
Yeah, I think you get like a whiteboard or something and you hold up a sign and I get to see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right,
Is this
you guys
just a
ready?
demo? No, this is the full game, but it doesn't come out until next week. We have early copies.
All right, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Oh my.
Whoa.
You like this one? Yeah, I chose this one. It
I
looks
tried to
cool.
take us here, but then it never brought us.
Juror number 1.
I love how Derb got absorbed by the paper balls. That was so funny.
In the middle of the room, it was like, well,
I was like, why is he in the middle of the room? Here, you peasants. Y'all better not get into it.
ye fuck around and find out.
What's that?
Oh, so it's showing who you're in favor of. I thought you could show. I thought, can't you write or no? Oh my god, the McFucking president is in the witness stands. One of the witnesses is the president and his head's a piece of toast.
Can you see that, Voosh?
Oh my god, you're right. President and male woman.
No, hold shift, I think. I saw there was a button to pick up something.
Mm-mm.
Something that says shift to show. Yeah, you said cock. Yeah, so you could write to me during the
Wait,
trial.
oh my god, next time I wouldn't be a juror. That looks fun.
I know, that's why we need 9 people.
Fuck.
Oh, Fugma.
Oh, Fugma.
It looks
Armed
like the
burglary,
male woman
assault,
ate
and
the
jaywalking.
president. Do you see this shit? The president looks like he's like
Yeah.
garlic bread and looks like she's shorked him off. Sorked ma.
We were look at Derb. Derb is able to write stuff and like show it on a board, and I said that looks so cool. I want to do that.
Nice.
Aura in the car.
I like the scenery change.
Oh my god.
No,
I think
know
I'm
how to spell
lagging
aggravated.
out.
I wasn't thinking of the right word. I didn't want aggravated burglary. I wanted armed burglary.
Wait, you didn't want what?
I was asking chat what the other word was, and I typed out aggravated, but I backspaced it because I was looking for armed burglary. I just wanted armed, yeah.
Oh, you wanted armed. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, court is now in session. Cease the tomfoolery. Welcome in, Mr. Fugma. We're going to give you a nice, fair trial here. Attorney Sailor, Sugar Plum, Prosecutor Jojo, it's good to see you again. Let's have a nice, formal trial. I'm going to open the floor to Miss Jojo to pronounce to us the prime crimes that Fugma Softly has fucked around and found out about. Go ahead.
Yes, as opening statements, I would like to start with the client over there, Fugma Softly, has committed armed burglary and also assault of my clients who cannot be here in court today as they are in the hospital, and also jaywalking as caught on their Ring camera on their front door. And we have substantial evidence to prove that, and I hope the jury finds them in what do you call it? Finds them guilty today.
Jaywalking is not taken lightly in this courtroom, Mr. Fugma. You best hope the crime of jaywalking is misproven today. Attorney Sailor Sugar Plum, your rebuttal.
Yes, I am here today to defend my client,
How are you?
Mr. Fugma, for the absolute lies and slander that have been brought to this courtroom today. Poor Fugma has never jaywalked in their life, and I know that is a very serious offense in this courtroom. They have never, ever jaywalked. And as for the armed burglary and assault, we will have our evidence shown to prove otherwise today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opening statements. We are going to pivot back to the prosecutor. These are some very heinous crimes, some of which can carry the death penalty in the 51st state. We would like to see your opening evidence, please, against Mr. Fugma Softly.
Yes. Well, the client over there, Fugma Softly, was accused of, or is going to be found guilty of
Fair trial. Don't worry,
armed
Fugma.
burglary and assault. Armed burglary is huge, and this is because the client has a gambling problem, as seen on this receipt.
Oh,
without a
interesting.
description.
Oh, that's weird.
Yes, the client was found with this gambling receipt in their presence, in their residence of choice, and they also, on the scene of their residence, found a gun, and it's literally full of bullets.
It is literally full of. Noted, jurors. I've taken notes. Noted. Now, going back just a second, the gambling receipt was found in a search, a sanctioned search of the residence after these crimes were committed. You're saying they were not on his person; they were in the residence.
We did get a search warrant before making the arrest on Sir Softly. And the search warrant at their residence concluded with the gun and the gambling receipt, as well as some other things.
Now, who did Mr. Fugma? Who did he assault? Who? I understand they are literally dying right now. Where is they? Who are they?
At the hospital. They had a laceration on their arm. They had to have sewn up from a confrontation where Mr. Fugma allegedly pushed them down onto a glass coffee table, and their arm was sliced open. So they are at the hospital. Their name is Patricia Fugless.
Fugless. Interesting. Now, what I'm hearing right now, though, is your clients were not shot.
They were not shot, but it is still armed burglary because there was a loaded weapon present. Yes.
It was present. Okay, so they're okay.
In fact, my clients were trying to wrestle the gun away from the defendant over there. However, the gun was still, the safety was still on, so they could not use it while they were wrestling for it, and that's why my clients ended up falling through a glass table.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Mr. Softly grabbed everything that he could, ran across the street, jaywalking, and fled the scene. They had a Ring camera. So
you better have gone to a fucking crosswalk. I fucking swear to God. Miss Sailor Sugar Plum, let's hear your rebuttal to what was just brought forward towards Fugma Softly.
Yes. So where are we saying that the crime was committed? Because there is Ring camera evidence, correct? Was this at your client's residence? Was
It was
that
at their
home?
residence. They live on the corner of a very busy intersection, and across the street from them is multiple businesses. So there are crosswalks nearby. The defendant allegedly did not use one when he fled the scene. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Okay. Okay.
Where crime?
So my client is being accused of going into said property with a loaded weapon that was not used, but there was a loaded weapon. And we can confirm that my client does in fact own a gun. They do. It is registered. It's not stolen. It's a registered gun. However, is there proof that it was my client on the footage for this incident? Because
They were running away, but it is eyewitness testimony from the Patricia Fugless and her daughter, who is very young but is able to speak in court later if we would have her.
okay. So where was my client on these records? What my client, it shows they were arrested about 600 feet away from your client's residence. Do you have proof otherwise that they were arrested within 600 feet?
They were arrested at their home of residence when we achieved the search warrant.
My client's
Yes.
residence?
Yes, which is about 3 blocks away.
It can't be only 3 blocks away because we still have this restraining order that is valid against your client. They have to be at least 500 feet away.
Ooh.
Well, I think 3 blocks is more than 500 feet. Depends on the block, but in this particular city, they're large blocks.
True, but I don't think if you
Interesting.
look at the map of the city, I don't believe that they're only 3 blocks away from each other. But that's why I wanted to check, because according to the restraining order, your client has to stay away from my client. And if you tried to say
Well, it's
that
kind
my
of hard to
client
do when your
was-
client comes running into my client's house. It's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah, but
Heard.
there's only eyewitness testimony to that. There isn't proof of my client
Do you
running
think
out.
that my client sliced her own arm open?
Well, I'm not questioning.
These
that.
are
I'm
questions for
questioning if it was
doctors.
my client or not.
This is questions for doctors. These are not theoreticals, hypotheticals.
All I have presented to the court is that there is a confirmed restraining order that is still valid, and I have confirmed that the gun is, in fact, my client's, but it is registered.
It is, yes. I do see on this restraining order that it was filed against Miss Patricia Fugless.
Yes.
It is still valid.
Yes.
It
So
was
I will
accepted
let
into the
the
court.
prosecutor
Thank you so
continue.
much. Thank you so much.
Your Honor, I would
yes,
like to
yes.
just pause for a moment and apologize to the court, as I've just received word that my client's daughter will not be able to be here today, and instead the president will be stepping in her place. He unfortunately is not an eyewitness, but he is the McFucking president, so he will speak. on her
Interesting.
behalf.
Interesting. Well,
She's in counseling. She has a lot of traumatic experiences based on what happened. She witnessed her mother being
that's fair.
murdered, so.
You know what? That's fair. This won't be the first time the McFucking president will be here, and it won't be the last. It won't be the last. So, moving forward, we have come to the conclusion that there was an assault. I don't feel like anyone is saying there's not been an assault.
Oh,
But
it sounds unfortunate.
there was also a restraining order, and now we must decide, was Mr. Fugma the instigator, or is Patricia trying to get a fat paycheck on the low key? I need more
I would
evidence.
like to further put into evidence, if I may. My client, Patricia, is she makes scented soaps and candles that she sells on Poopsie, which is a
Poopsie,
website you can yes, you can sell
Love
handmade
Poopsie.
things on Poopsie. She likes to take whole vegetables and fruits and grind them up and mix them with sugars and soaps to have scented candles and such things. So on this particular day, when her home was breached allegedly by the defendant, she actually had blended up eggplants on her kitchen counter. And through the tussle of the defendant allegedly attacking her, she dropped the container of blended eggplant on the floor, and the defendant stepped in it, allegedly, and you can see the purple footprints all the way across the road that lead, not in the crosswalk, to across the road and partially back towards the distance of their own residence.
Oh, jaywalking. Oh, just...
But can we prove that's my client's footprints in the alleged
Hand
purple
the foot
stuff?
over.
Hand the
We'll see what the president has to say.
Interesting. Okay, so purple stuff has been accepted into evidence. There was purple stuff at the scene of the crime. There's candles.
I also would like to point out that when my client came to after her heinous assault, she found
heinous.
that her wallet was empty and she had been robbed.
Oh my.
Order of the court. Order. Now, we have to assume here that these poopsie whoopsie candles have brought in at least $1. So where money go? Thank you so much, prosecutor. I'm gonna fling this over to Attorney Sailor Sugarplum. Where money go?
Well, I'm not in charge of their client's finances, so I don't know where money go. And when my client was arrested at their residence, they checked their wallet and they also had no money in their wallet. So I truly don't know where money go. But I better have money
Just
to be
plenty
paid.
of time to stash
for-
it somewhere.
But
Don't you think the officer
where
would've found
money
that?
go? Exactly. If money
Where
not go,
money go?
we don't know that hoe. She's not here. Unfortunately, until we
I
figure out
say
where
this
money
with
go,
utmost
the wallet is
confidence.
being
Attached to rocks on the
removed.
bottom of the river.
Excuse me, prosecutor, it is my turn. I say this with the utmost confidence that my client is going to pay me for this if we win, but I will bring to the jury that they don't even have a working cell phone at the moment. Their cell phone is broken. They also have a broken coffee maker that they are struggling right now to replace. So don't you think that if my client stole their money and was doing armed burglary, that they would have went and bought a new coffee maker? They wouldn't have been sitting at home to get arrested. They would be at the Walmart spending that cash before it could be found to buy a new coffee maker. I don't think
Now,
they just sit on
in
it.
favor of the defense, criminals are McFuckings. Where the money? We're trying to find out, juror gerb. In the favor of the defense, criminals are McFucking stupid. That money would have been spent.
Fair.
Where was the money spent? Miss JoJo, if you can prove to me that the money was spent that he clearly does not have, I would love to hear it.
Yes, I can prove it. When we were searching his residence, he does have a broken coffee maker, but we learned that he recently switched from coffee to energy drinks, which is what he's been spending all of his money on. He does not need his caffeine from cocoa beans. He gets them from Red Bull.
Rabble. Order. Whoa, this is a bomb.com, which is what I assume the SOC people still use as their URL preference. Wow. Energy drinks, Miss Sugar Plum, are very more expensive than a coffee. How do you explain that there was energy drinks in his home if he could not afford anything?
Well, I don't know if there's any receipts or proof that this money, so-called money, was spent on energy drinks. We know that my client has financial problems. We've clearly seen that based off of the gambling receipts
off having
from
to
the
rob people.
prosecutor, as
Good night,
well
Mama.
as my client's broken cell phone and coffee maker.
Mm-hmm.
However, hold on, I'm looking.
Chat vote.
Do you mind if I have my witness come out, or would you like me to wait on that?
You may have your witness.
Okay. We have the male woman from JoJo's client's neighborhood who was promptly
You're supposed to
at the
yes or no,
scene
not guilty.
when there was a
energy
suspicious
drink
person
stolen money?
running out of their client's home, which we're not denying that. We're just denying that it was, in fact, my client. Go ahead, you can talk. Yes, I was delivering the mail at approximately 2:33 p.m. when I saw somebody running out of the client's house, and I did see the purple stuff. I saw a trail of it running across the street, so whoever it was did indeed jaywalk. But I don't think it was that client over there, because that client does not have a big nose.
Interesting. And the bigness of the nose. Mandatory for this case to proceed.
Well, I mean, I was approached by officers because I was there at the scene of the crime, and they asked for a description of the perpetrator that was running. And I described their nose as very tiny. It was a small nose, green eyes, and
Your Honor,
approximately
objective.
5'4".
People are arrested all the time that don't match the description of the witness affidavits.
Also,
It's
looking at
important.
Mr.
Luigi did not do that. He did not shoot that CEO.
Looking at Mr. Fugma softly,
His
I don't
eyebrows are
even.
far too bushy, never tamed. He does not match that. Video, and he's in jail.
Order for the sexy armed burglar man. I would say that this man's nose is
you prove a
moderate.
point, Prosecutor Jojo, but that just proves my point that they're not guilty, because just like Luigi, they're being framed.
Interesting.
I would love if there was a universe in where your client was framed, but unfortunately there is substantial evidence, and that is my job to uphold the law.
Now, as far as I can go off of, which is what's in my evidence roster, yes, he has broken McShit in his apartment. But also, yes, he has energy drinks. If he's pivoted to energy drinks, but he was having financial issues, there would be no energy drinks within that apartment.
Your Honor, he also has a gun and a license for said gun, which is also expensive.
Yeah, but when do
He
people
also
with
has
gambling problems?
receipts. You can't
I
gamble
was just
without
gonna
money.
say, well, the receipts, they're past, they're not present. It's not like they
No.
used them. They didn't use. Don't you think if they had a gambling addiction, if they got said money, they would have spent it on something, right? They didn't spend it on. There's no
They spend it
receipt
on
that
guns and
shows.
energy drinks.
There was no receipt that shows they purchased energy drinks after the crime.
My
After the crime?
my client's wallet was emptied of cash, so it's cash that was missing.
The wallet has
Typically.
also just been stricken from the record because although, yes, energy drink suspicious, we don't know if there was money in that wallet. I didn't
Yeah,
see
Of
money in that
course
wallet.
there
I did
was.
not see money in that
He has a
wallet.
daughter and a mouth to feed.
A lot of things are done on Sockle wallet on your phones these days.
I do understand that. My client is a little bit.
I am
older.
saying though, do not worry. In your defense, the energy drinks I cannot get over. Your client is delinquently not wealthy and of no work. He has nothing. His cell phone's broken. His coffee. He doesn't have anything. Where's stuff go?
You're trying to take the last of his dignity and throw him in jail instead of letting him recover from his gambling problems.
I would just like to say though, if I had no working cell phone, no coffee machine, tons of gambling debt, I would also go rob houses. If I was a delinquent, you know?
But who's to say that he did? You're claiming assault, but where's the proof of the assault? They
In the
didn't use the
hospital.
gun, but they didn't use you brought a gun to evidence and a gun was not used.
That's true. The gun was
only
not
used
used.
to point out that it was armed burglary. It was present during the burglar.
But then what was the assault? Were they smacked? Were they what
The assault
they-
was that they were wrestled and thrown into a glass table. They have a cut on their
See,
arm
I just
and
don't.
are
I
in
just
the
don't see
hospital.
evidence of that. I just see evidence of knocked over purple stuff.
Well, that's fine. We can throw out the assault since there's no evidence of that. But the jaywalking,
The jaywalking will be death penalty. Yes.
We're getting there.
Yes.
We're cooking.
I'm not doing okay with the jaywalking still. Thank you, Miss Mailguard. We are going to bring in the McFucking president. Mr. President, what the fuck?
President Toast.
Make it make sense, Mr. President.
Yes. My name is President Toasty. I am the president of these 51 United States of Fantasticness. I happen to be currently caring for the daughter of the plaintiff who, while she is in the hospital, because we are not family or friends, but we are like friends of friends, and I had the means to take care of this young girl, so we are going to be taking care of her while her mother recovers, and their house is a crime scene, so they can't go home, right? But the daughter has told me that he witnessed a man come in wearing a ski mask, but it was one of those ski masks that have the nose cut out. And she did say that the person had a normal sized nose and very luscious lips and had a look of fear on their face, almost as if they had loan sharks looking for them, kind of. And she said that her mother was in the bedroom, was getting ready for bed. I had just gotten, the daughter said she had just gotten out of the shower, came out into the general living area and saw the man in the mask. Ran into the mother's room and was like, Mom, there is a man in the living room. The mother ran out there, Patricia, God rest her soul, in the hospital.
She died.
The mother ran out there. The mother ran out there and tried to fight off this assailant because she was not aware that he had a gun at that moment. She grabbed him from the back and tried to throw him away from her belongings and get him out of the house. He then pulled the gun, but as we learned, the safety was on, so he did not shoot it. He then was like, oh, now's my time. So she tussled with him and he threw her into a glass table where she was literally cut from wrist to elbow. So she had to undergo massive surgery. She almost died. She had a lot of blood loss. Her daughter was able to run in, call 911, get the ambulance on the way, and saw the assailant running away with leaving the purple footprints, and has been traumatized and unable to come speak today. So I am speaking on her behalf.
Mr. President, why are you like
Want my toast?
No, not the toast. Why aren't you doing your job? Why are you? There's one mega crime per hour.
I'm doing my best, okay? We'll work on it.
One mega crime per hour happens within this country, and you are here taking care of some woman you don't know instead of going and creating jobs for gambling addicts. I kind of want to throw you in jail, Mr. President.
I'm doing my part to try and get criminals off the street, and this is a criminal that definitely needs to be off the street.
Miss Sailor Sugar Plum.
Yes,
what was the purpose? What was the reason behind that restraining order that your client got against
By the way, restraining orders cost money too.
We know. We already discussed this, Mr. President. We know that restraining orders cost money as well as guns. The restraining order actually was for stalking. My client was being stalked. There was no assaults, but they were.
Is there any proof of this? Do we have any evidence towards stalking?
The restraining order.
The restraining order does mention stalking.
It's considered both types of evidence. Oh.
Well, I mean, it just says restraining order. It's still valid. I never specified what the restraining order was for. I only brought it to this court to prove that my client was not supposed to be within 500 feet.
Okay, perfect.
Yes?
So stalking, yes.
I was going to say that the defendant is just a tad bit delusional, and the reason that they got that restraining order is because my client, Patricia, has a dog, and the client, this defendant rather, happens to live across the street from a dog park. So my client is there all the time at the dog park. And the defendant is kind of, because of the loan sharks probably after them, they are very nervous Nelly, if you will.
Interesting.
They call me delusional? Are
Okay.
you saying that your client lives across from the dog park?
No, your client.
My client. And you're saying that my client's afraid of dogs?
No, your client is afraid of people being just noticed patterns, right? That my client was going to the dog park every day. Your client took it as my client was stalking them because they live across the street from the dog park that my client happened to be going to.
Order.
That's
Order. Okay. Miss Sugarplum, is there any more evidence you would like to submit?
well, I still don't understand what the point of the dog park was for, because we know the restraining order is for stalking. If my client was afraid,
That's why I explained that your client lives near the dog park, was because your client thought that my client was stalking when in fact my client was just going to the dog park every day to walk their dog.
yeah, but your client could possibly not walk near the dog park when my client is there.
Well,
And be with-
they stopped doing that once the restraining order took effect.
Yeah, but if it's my client's restraining order, don't you think that your client would be the one that has to stay away? And if my client lives across the street from the dog park, they would just go to a different dog park.
That is true.
Restraining
That
orders
is.
go both ways. They do go both ways.
I
Each
did
party
not get a
goes away.
reciprocal restraining order though. Like it does not
No,
sound
no,
like.
it just means the same thing. Like I can't be held. My client can't be held faulty of breaking a restraining order if it's your client that walks closer to me, versa. So when it's like 500 feet barrier between clients, they both need to do that.
Miss Sugarplum, is there any more evidence?
Oh wait. Oh, never mind. You got rid of the bell.
Oh.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Well, evidence to prove that I believe my client was not in their residence at the time.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, I got a really shit deck of cards, so I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm sorry. That's why I'm just like, oh.
If you are unable to prove they were there, we can move on to the final phase of this judgment.
I would just like to say, your mom.
Noted. Closing statements from the prosecutor.
Oh, me? Yes. I think that I have, through the gambling receipts, the gun, the footprints in the purple stuff, and the proof of energy drinks in the defendant's apartment, I think I have greatly proved that not only were they at the scene of the crime, they assaulted my client, left their footprints, they're also seen on video running away. We don't have that ring footage right now as we are trying to obtain it, but we heard from Mr. President the secondhand witness testimony from the daughter who cannot be here. And the gun was there. The armed robbery and the jaywalking are at least guilty, for sure, on all counts.
Okay, thank you so much. Defense. Final thoughts.
My final thoughts are that there was not enough evidence to fully prosecute my client into saying that they were, in fact, the ones at the residence when there was an armed burglary. We know that my client owns a gun, but it is registered and paid for, and it was not used at the scene of the crime. We know that we know that evidence for the wallet was removed because money gone, no money. We know where money go, and we know that my client has, in fact, a gambling issue. But I think the more serious matter is that there is somebody out there who did jaywalk, walking out with that purple stuff on their shoes, but we cannot prove that it was my client. And I believe that when the prosecutor has more clear evidence that my client that my client is being convicted of armed burglary, then they can bring it back to court with proper evidence, but they do not even have the ring footage to prove that it was my client that was going out the door. Or proof that my client is the one that left them with scratches and bruises and blood off of their glass table.
Okay, thank you so
I
much.
believe that I was just going to say, I believe that the real criminal is still at large, and I feel like the prosecutor has more work to do to make sure the right person gets thrown in jail and that the poor daughter gets justice.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, in my closing remarks, I have conferred with the jury. They have given me their thoughts throughout this entire trial. They have also shown me a scrotum at one point. There was a scrotum. It is on the behalf of the jury that they do believe that there is some guilt to be had for Fugma Softly. Now, here's where I stand. Yes, he had a gun, but he's allowed to have a gun. It was never discharged. I am not following through with the assault charges as they have been laid out. What I do believe in is setting a precedent for future jaywalkers. In this economy, it will not stand that a jaywalker will roam free from this court. And in order to make sure,
you're going to prosecute the wrong person.
It is by jury of their peers and my expert opinion that Mr. Fugma Softly is not guilty of armed burglary or assault, but he is guilty of jaywalking and will receive the lightest penalty I can afford for such a crime, which is the death sentence to be pulled out of my asshole immediately following this trial. Case closed. Go hug your loved ones. Do not jaywalk in my court. Thank you so much.
He was framed. He was framed. He wasn't the one jaywalking. See, look, it says that he was guilty, and then it says he ran out of the courthouse, forgot their belt was loose, pants fell, they tripped, knocked themselves out in the parking lot, right in front of the judge and cops who struggled to breathe between fits of laughter. My poor client.
He was having fits of laughter because he got away with the assault, but then he remembered. Look at his face now.
Found guilty and sentenced to death. Why is he running out of the courthouse?
Because he's terrified because he's about to have the death penalty. So he ran.
It's just a little death penalty.
It's just fell and tripped and knocked themselves out on a parking post right in front of the judge and cops who were laughing. So it sounds like you run a corrupt courtroom.
I bet that as he was running out of the courtroom, he jaywalked again. I bet he did.
I bet he did. That's probably why he laughed.
Out there, he probably ran right across that street, and that's why he hit that parking pole.
I say this courtroom is corrupt, and you will all burn in hell.
Not before Fugma Softly.
You said defund the judge.
Defund the judge. There will be riots outside of the courtroom after the death penalty is.
I mean, as long as they get there without jaywalking, they won't join them. That's all I gotta say.
Oh no, there's gonna be riots, and they will be jaywalking and throwing.
Well, here's the thing. Unlike this court trial, I do have ring cameras all over our courthouse. If I see people jaywalking, death penalty, death penalty, death penalty, death penalty.
I smashed them all, actually.
Oh, okay, great.
Who's the tyrant?
I agree.
Anyway, I'm saying corrupt courtroom, and there will be riots out in the street in protest tonight.
All right, as long as they don't jaywalk. I'm just saying.
They will be jaywalking.
At their own peril.
They don't care anymore.
At their own peril.
They don't care when an innocent man has been.
He was innocent of 2 crimes.
I just want to point out also that you can't see the cards that you're given before you have to make up the crime. And I put and then my cards had a fucking loaded gun, and I'm like, oh.
But then you didn't include it in the assault. Why didn't you include it in the assault?
You know how many times I've gotten crusty towel tonight?
Let's throw 2 super serious things in there and then 1 not so serious thing, and then I had purple stuff, and I was like, well, I can say he stepped in it and left footprints, and that's really all I got for that. But as far as the assault, like, I didn't have anything. I couldn't even use the eyewitness of the daughter because I had fucking president as my fucking witness.
Yeah, I was not expecting fucking president toast.
As soon as it came up, I was like, okay, why are you here?
Toast. I'm still surprised that you didn't try to say that, like, your client got pistol whipped or something with the gun.
Yeah, that's why I had to discharge the assault, because like, why have gun if you're not gonna you don't go into an armed robbery with it on safety. That's what I'm saying.
You know, my client was doing a good job of keeping him away.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot I'm the host. Did we want someone else to be host with their cards, or what do we want to do?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever you guys want.
Do we want to do another one?
I can do like one more. I'm getting very sore. Mega sore.
And we could do one more. I kind of want to be a witness.
Do I be the witness?
The witness is fun.
I gotta go against Boosh.
It's all right. I lose a lot because no one wants me to be successful, even though I have the
JoJo and Durb gone against each other?
I haven't heard it, but she chose Juror.
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah. When the fishing and the ball.
Oh yeah, the fishing. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fishing balls.
Fishing with no
Fishing
balls. Oh god, this is like the nosebleeds of the night. I don't know what to.
Do you know how many times I've gone crusty towels and I never say those words in public again?
I got the same cards like every time.
Well, these are sailors cards.
No.
Also,
never seen
these should be
same.
different.
Yeah.
Schedule 1 reference. What is it? I don't want it to make it about him being a Peter file though. I just want him to be named Peter file. I don't know what he should be guilty
stinky.
of.
I want them to add more defendants other than just the same guy. I would like to see different ones.
Definitely more defendants, definitely more probably more witnesses. I noticed the witnesses, there's only like I don't know if it's determined by map or if it's just random.
Ooh, there's a truck driver witness this time. That's different.
Ooh, that is different.
But yeah, I would like the defendant there to be different defendants other than just the same guy every time.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make it. Possession, like drugs.
I forgot I gotta get up early tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I know my cards aren't very
too.
good.
Voosh is making the crime.
Yeah, I was just telling Durb, I'm sorry, I know my cards aren't very good.
I'm just glad they're different.
Peter File is charged with possession of 10,000 pounds of weed. Order in the court. Prosecution, you may lead. What is your opening statement?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is one of the worst cases I've ever had. Mr. Peter File, caught with his pants down, and what came tumbling out of that loose anus but 10,000 pounds of weed, all over the clean floor. It was a horrible sight. It was a horrible night. The entire police department is currently in therapy. They cannot be here tonight. They are currently crying. And I don't know what he plans to do with this 10,000 pounds of butt weed. But I hope that we never have to find out and this man goes to jail. Thank you so much.
Defense? Opening statements?
Kenny Hodds. Shut up. You're Kenny. What are we having for dinner tonight, babe?
My client was set up. None of this is true. He did have like 3 ounces on him, which is not illegal in the 51st state.
It's not?
Can I just make a conjecture here? He had 3 ounces on him. That's true. If you listen to my opening statement, he had 10,000 pounds inside him. Thank you so much.
Okay. Defense. Oops.
I need some evidence of this.
Well, you're just making your opening statements. So.
Yeah, he didn't do it. He had
Okay.
a minimal amount on him.
Okay,
The rest
okay.
is just made up.
Okay. We'll go back to prosecution. You may submit evidence, call witnesses, whatever you need.
Thank you so much. Just need a moment to sort through my shit.
Sorry if they're bad cards. I'm sorry.
How can I make a case for this? On the night of question, when the truck driver that he was driving with, he was actually in the back of the truck. He wasn't in the cabin. He was in the back of the truck. Commercial truck, by the way. You know, Walmart size, bring in Fruit Loops to a store kind of truck. The truck was pulled over for a inspection, weight inspection, I will say. It did not pass. They opened the cabin, obviously, to find Mr. Peter File in the back. Very confused. The cops asked him to step off. And when they did, the truck suddenly passed inspection. Police were like, what the McFuck? And they had him strip. When they saw nothing was wrong, they were about to let him go and guess that the weight scale was broken. But Peter File accidentally bent over to pick back his pants off the floor. And unfortunately, his loose anus let go. And 10,000 pounds of weed came tumbling through his butthole. What I can submit as evidence right now, as the weed itself is currently still in holding. They're trying to find someone to process it at the police department. But again, they are all traumatized by what they saw. So it's going to be in holding for a while. We have this purple substance that was coming out of his behind his prison pocket. We'll have that on the record, please. It came out of his prison pocket. Thank you so much. After being analyzed, or should I say analyzed, it was apparent that it was a lubricant used to process the weed up his badonkadonk.
Okay. Defense, you may go, you may rebut or submit evidence or call witnesses.
1 second. Okay, so my client was 100% set up.
Okay.
Yes, he got stopped. But everything after that point, the plaintiff is clearly making up. For one, I have this evidence to show you. All right. A gun.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
God. When you show off the evidence, the fucking defendant was like, like they did like a gasp.
Chat, make sure you vote.
All right, now this gun right here was swabbed for fingerprints, and guess what the only fingerprints found on it was? From the police officer that pulled him over at the stop. Yet they say they found it in the defendant's glove compartment.
Interesting. May I have the floor?
No, I'm not done.
Interesting.
You also say there's a bottle, or there was purple stuff that was used as lubricant.
Yes, it appears to have been grape flavored.
Okay, then why would they use that when they have this perfectly good bottle of white lotion?
Well,
Scented.
at a glossary reading of that bottle of lotion, it says external use only.
Okay, where did the purple stuff come from?
That's what I'd like Peter File to tell us. But I can tell you where it leaked out of, and that was his prison pocket.
You have no evidence of this?
100 cops saw it leaking from his prison pocket. If I may, Judge.
Are these
if I may.
cops witnesses?
They are currently in therapy because your client is a horrible person. Judge.
Prosecution.
Judge?
Yes.
Are you going to let him talk to me like this?
Yes.
For now, you're both kind of being unruly.
Yes. He says the only fingerprints on the gun belong to the police. Well, where evidence go? I see a gun, but I only see one lawyer with the fingerprints. If you look at this shit, not only is there no fingerprints from the police, because police are smart enough to use gloves to not have the evidence thrown out, the only fingerprints you will find on the scene of the crime.
Or are you admitting that they could have planted it, but they used gloves?
Absolutely not. Because
Interesting.
all over that shit, including on the inside of his rectal cavity, you will find Mr. Peter Files' fingerprints. And I guess for some reason there was also one fingerprint from the truck driver also circling the cavity. We don't have an explanation for that yet.
Circling the cavity? Can you be more?
It was on his butthole.
Objection. No evidence of this.
I literally just submitted the fingerprints.
There's no evidence of the truck driver being in my defendant's cavity.
No, not
That's
yet.
hearsay anyway. That's neither here nor there. Defense, you may submit evidence.
So
call
if you look
witnesses.
closer at the fingerprint report, you will see that it actually comes back to a Cameron, which is neither my defendant nor the truck driver's name, but is the name of the officer that conducted the traffic stop.
I must consult.
That officer couldn't have done the traffic stop because he's been in the Appalachian Mountains for 7 days without telling anyone.
This is actually true. He is actually still gone. I'm consulting.
So are you saying the police reports are false?
Oh, I'm saying that you don't know what you're
I am still
talking about,
consulting.
sir.
I am still consulting. We are having those fingerprints reanalyzed to see who they belong to. We are searching the witness program. While we are doing that, I would just like to put into evidence that truck driver may have touched the butthole. That's neither here nor there. It doesn't prove anything. However, just was discovered that the fingerprints actually do not belong to the defendant, and they do belong to Sir, a police officer whose name I don't remember.
Cameron, Morgan.
Was it
Interesting.
Cameron? Oh, okay, yes, Cameron, yes.
Okay.
They do belong to Cameron.
Well, although I would like to say that that was Mr. Cameron at the scene of the crime, new evidence has come in stating that actually Cameron's been in the Appalachian Mountains for the last 7 days. No one can get in contact with him, but it does appear that someone is going around with his ID card. I don't know who that man was that touched your client, but I promise you that is not one of the fine men currently crying in the back room talking to the therapist.
Did the person that stole his ID card also steal the tips of his fingers?
Yes.
Interesting.
Maybe.
If we're going to say that the officer is not real, then are we saying as well that any police reports from this incident are in fact fraud?
It does seem that there is a mockery happening, and I am upset about it.
It does appear that your client has the IQ of a potato and has allowed someone to finger him that
Your
was
Honor.
not one of the many officers that were called in
Badgering?
to handle this.
Is it at all possible that this police officer, Cameron, is in fact not in the Appalachian Mountains and is guilty of this crime and in hiding? Prosecution has the floor.
I would have to bring my witness to the stand.
I could do that.
The truck driver, please. Miss Gibbly Bibbly.
Bibbly bibbly, whenever you would like to proceed.
Yeah, hello, my name's Gibbly Fiddly. I'm a truck driver for Socks & Co. Incorporated.
Would you like to question them or would you
And,
like me to question them?
Would you give your witness statement as to what happened on the date in question? From the beginning.
Yes, so I was scheduled to work my shift driving my truck, and I drove up to the checkpoint as I always do, but I did notice that morning when I got in my car, my truck, I'm sorry, but when I got inside my truck, I did notice that things felt a little bit heavier than normal. You know, just, it was, I felt, you know, like those moments where you feel like there's just something wrong, but you just can't figure out what it is. And so I just, I'm just went to my checkpoint and was like, okay, and just trying to get through my shift, because I want to get home to my kids. And they asked the client, or they asked the defendant, I'm sorry. Yeah. Excuse me. They asked the defendant, Mr. File, if he would step out of the truck, the vehicle in the back. And that is when it seems that there literally was a weight lifted off my shoulders. And I was very confused because I didn't even know that Mr. File was back there. And it just seems that somehow he must have snuck up in my vehicle when I was sleeping in the rest stop the night before.
Chat boat.
And that's when they, I guess, discovered that he had all the marijuana on him. And yeah, I was just kind of like shocked and confused. And I was just worried that they were going to take my truck because I just want to, pay my bills, go home to my kids.
Prosecution, would you like to question your witness?
Did you happen to see the moment Mr. Peter File bent over to pick up his pants after the incident started occurring?
Well, yes, I did see him pick up his pants because once I felt that there was a weight lifted, I hopped out of my vehicle and was like, what in darn tootin' is going on here? And that's when I saw, and that's when I saw the puddle of the supposed purple stuff. And I don't want to describe what I saw, but it wasn't pretty.
Now, unfortunately, you are in a court of law, and I will need you to confirm or deny that when Peter File bent over, you not only saw the purple substance, but did you also see upwards of 10,000 pounds of weed slide out of that slippery prison pocket onto the office floor of that cop pit stop?
It was the worst that I ever saw. Yes, I
dear.
did see it.
Oh dear.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I never in my day have seen so much.
Oh, this is awful.
Prosecution, do you have any more questions for this witness?
I simply cannot put them through anymore.
Defense, would you like to cross-examine?
Yes, I would like to know where exactly Mr. Pedophile was in your truck.
He was in the very back of the truck, but I had no idea that he was back there. Like I said, I think he must have snuck in maybe when I was at my rest stop taking a breather before I went back on the road.
And we're talking about a like an 18-wheeler here, not like a box truck, right?
No, not a box truck. No, I would have seen him in my truck if he was in a box truck.
Okay.
That's why I was questioning myself when it just seemed that, you know, everything just seemed real heavy. It just seemed, you know, like a bigger load, and I was just so tired. I just wanted to get the shift over with. I didn't think to check. I thought I was just, you know.
And did you say
that?
Did you say you got pulled over?
Just 1 second. If you would, from my personal records, it was brought to my attention that you may or may not touched the butthole of Mr. File. Can you confirm or deny that allegation?
I don't tell my wife, please. I have a family.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience. You may continue to
Oh, fuck, she did it.
And did you say you got
Don't
pulled
tell my
over in your
wife.
truck, or were you at the truck stop already?
I was at the checkpoint. I was at the checkpoint, and we did not pass inspection, and that's when I gave them permission to open the back of the truck, and that's when I felt the weight lift, the shift of the weight, and I just hopped out of my vehicle because I was like, what in darn is going on here? They just said, can we please check your vehicle or check the truck? I said, yes. I don't know why it's not passing inspection. And then when I felt the weight shift, I got out and was like, you know, what's going on? And then I saw the purple stuff and I was just shocked. I was, you know, that shit ain't pretty to look at.
Okay, and what would make you want to touch the enlarged cavity after 10,000 pounds of weed supposedly fell out of it?
I mean, I was just... I didn't know they can stretch that big, you know? I'm a family man. I was just...
Do you normally touch people's buttholes?
No,
or is this just
I don't know
a one-time...
Like I said, don't tell my wife. I've never done something like this before.
Have you touched your wife's butthole?
No.
Okay. All right.
Don't separate my family, man. I don't want my wife to know.
All right. I don't have any further questions for this witness.
Okay.
You did great.
You may step down.
Thank you.
As I figure out how to do that. Prosecution, do you have anything else to add?
I would like to add this restraining order from the entire police department towards Peter File after what happened to them during this fateful stop. He is not to be within 200 miles of this county's police department ever the McFuck again, because they will they will literally die if they ever see this man or smell that grape lube ever again.
Yes, it is grape. It was determined that it is grape. It was grape flavored lube. It also was determined that on a separate occasion, the defendant was found guilty of killing the UHC CEO, so that will have to be another trial.
Yeah, well, I'll be here.
Yeah.
Objection relevance?
No relevance, just character testimony.
I don't think the judge can do that.
I'm sorry, is this your courtroom?
The jury came forward with that evidence themselves, so take it up with them.
Jury doesn't... Okay.
Defense, would you like to add?
So on this restraining order, I see down towards the bottom where it also includes Cameron's name. which you said is no longer or is unreachable right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
but
added his
yes.
name post-mortem because he's a part of the police station and they did not want him to deal with
So
it when he got back.
So that's starting to make me think that this is just the entire police department
That was what I said,
making a
yes.
fraudulent case.
No, that is incorrect.
Oh, mishandled. Possibly.
Not mishandled, no. Why would...
I
that-
would like to see some
I
evidence
also
of a
bring-
mishandling.
Same.
I also bring to evidence this broken cell phone,
Hmm. Yes.
which you will see also has Cameron's fingerprints on it.
Interesting. I'm gonna need that sent for a
Yet it-
second.
Yet it belongs to my client.
Yes. I'll give the prosecution a
interesting.
moment to
Yeah.
look over that new evidence.
yeah.
Spence, do you have anything else you would like to add? Any witnesses you would like to call?
I just want to say, at this time, no witnesses, but with that cell phone, you will see that with this being a setup, and obviously the police department doesn't know what they're doing, putting someone's name on there that's not even near where we are. Would you say they're in the Appalachians?
Yeah, they're in the Appalachian Mountains.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yet his fingerprints are all over this evidence.
You know,
You can
the
see
only one
broken
in
phone
this...
where my client tried to call for help because he was being set up. this
hearsay.
officer
We don't know what he
broke
was
the cell
doing with the phone.
I rest.
All right. Prosecution, what have you say about any of that?
I would like to show this into evidence. It'll prove that Mr. Peterfile and Cameron have actually been in a very long-standing gay homosexual relationship with each other. This is Cameron's tier 3 subscription to Peterfile's butthole. You will see that it is dated back several years, and they have been living together for most of those years. Those fingerprints definitely were left there before he went to the Appalachian Mountains, probably after they had the gay sex.
So can you explain to me why Cameron having a subscription to Peterfile's butthole would set him up in such a way?
I don't follow any porn.
What is the relevance of Cameron and Peterfile having a close relationship if we're constituting?
Oh,
that
I'm so
Cameron
sorry,
set up
Judge.
Peterfile?
Yes. It would be because the fingerprints you are finding and all the stuff, of course it's on all his stuff. They live together. That
Okay.
they are the gay together. And when you're gay, I'm not saying this out of experience, but I have tickled a few pickles in my time. But when you're gay together, you touch each other's all your stuff. All your stuff you touch
Yeah.
together. Yeah,
I am aware of the gays
the gays.
and their touchiness. Okay. Defense. Any more evidence? What say you?
1 second, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, if you don't mind, can you run me by real quick? Refresh my memory what he just said.
Yes, he just said that if you look into Article B, the Tier 3 subscription to Peterfile's butthole is one that Cameron is different live actually holds, confirming that they are indeed in a gay homosexual relationship together. So us finding Cameron's fingerprints on all of these things is not because he's setting up Peterfile, but because he lives with Peterfile. So these could potentially be excused in a court of law as, you know, just fingerprints from a roommate and not fingerprints of a criminal.
Okay, even if that accusation is true, that doesn't account for the fact that Cameron is the one that made the police report of the scene, yet somehow he's not even near the scene.
A police report was not put into evidence. What was put into evidence was the restraining order by the entire police department and postmortemly for Cameron, who will no longer be tier 3 subbed. I hear that it got canceled after he was airlifted news of what happened with the 10,000 pounds of weed in the grape loop.
Well, the police report had to have been supplied before the trial even started.
That is true. We don't have it here in evidence today, but we have to logically assume that at some point there was a police report filed.
Well,
charges are
If it was
based
by
upon
Cameron
the
or
police
not,
report.
we do not know.
yeah, if Cameron, where's
He
Cameron
also
name?
is not here. However, I haven't seen substantial evidence to prove that Peter File himself did any of these things, as his fingerprints are not on them. So I would like to see anything else, or any link back to anything that could make sense of it a little.
So I do have one more piece of evidence.
Okay. Oops.
This was given to me after my client's cell phone was utterly destroyed and broke. And I still don't understand why it would be given to him, other than they were trying to set him up. But this was also found at the scene.
Oh. A get out of jail free card. That does leave me in quite the pickle here.
That is.
Oh wow. Who would make a card like that? Oh my god.
Okay, well, I would like to allow each side to do closing arguments.
The proof is in the pudding. The pudding being what Cameron and Peter File call his big voluptuous prison pocket. And the proof in that pudding was 10,000 pounds of weed dripping onto the fucking side of the 401 highway in the 51st state of Canada. Unfortunately for him, that get out of jail free card would insinuate that he has to go to jail first. So if he wants to, you know, I feel like if he wants to use that, he'll have to do a, what are they called, appeal. But for what I know today is that the cops will be appealing the butthole of nightmares from their memory for years to come. And if he should go to jail for nothing else, it should be for that. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Vince, your closing statements?
Peter File is not guilty of these charges. Okay.
Okay.
As evidence is shown, this is a clear setup. Arguably officiated from Officer Cameron. Not only is he nowhere near the crime scene or the court, his fingerprints are the only fingerprints on, I believe, all of the evidence the plaintiff has provided. Also with the tier 3 subscription, normally those are anonymous. They're online names. We don't necessarily know if that Cameron is the same Cameron.
Your Honor, I know these are final thoughts, but I do want to state that literally it is a subscription from a person named Cameron is different life.
I'll note that into evidence. Thank you.
Where is
Please
it
continue.
said that that is the same Cameron's username?
That is his last name. Yes, Cameron. Last name is different life. Yes.
Well, I would argue then it's impossible to subscribe to another person in real life. I also don't believe the fake ID card is should be an evidence at all, seeing as an ID card was never used. It was all based upon fingerprints.
Okay. Are those your closing arguments?
Yes.
Oops. Okay. For my closing statements here, I feel as though the online jury is a little confused and conflicted, both with the amount of marijuana that was ascended upon us, if you will, and the sheer mention of large assholes and the gays. I feel like they have been swindled a little bit. My closing theories here, if you will, I do see that Peter File claims that he was set up. He did have 3 ounces, but that is under the limit. The truck driver did not know Peter was there, but also touched Peter's asshole, therefore partially contaminating that evidence. The police report does not state any names or locations, so we can't use that. The fingerprints on everything were found to belong to a Cameron is different live, which is a person who works for the police department but is completely missing and has not been able to be found in some time, which leads me to believe that they're probably the guilty party here. I am finding the defendant not guilty of all charges, and I would like Cameron is different live arrested immediately and tried for court.
And murder.
Honestly, fair. And murder. Yeah, definitely murder too.
Left
Yes,
the courthouse
Cameron
screaming
is
with
different
joy
live.
so
Definitely
loudly that a
murder.
panicked passerby threw a croissant at their face, became the first person in history to be knocked out by a pastry.
Well, I'm
Deserved.
so glad I sent him home to get knocked out by a pastry.
I like how
like
it
that
says
one.
Derb, the
That's fun.
novelist.
I like how we're putting Peter File on trial for shoving 10,000 pounds of drugs in his ass, and it ended up being Cameron that we were demanding to be arrested.
Always Cameron's fault.
It was a win-win situation, if you ask.
Truly the best outcome was had here, yes.
It's always
Truly, not
Cameron's
only
fault.
is Cameron under arrest for many things, murder and marijuana, but being gay. He's being arrested for being gay.
Mhm.
Like that's
Without
we
a
don't
without
allow
a
that.
doubt, yeah. There was not that was
Yeah.
not even brought into question. We proved
Yeah.
that
jaywalking and gays are of the highest crimes in this
in this
51st
land.
state.
I
Yes.
didn't know how to
Yeah.
defend against the butthole touching.
Yeah, I don't know. either.
Neither did Peter
But it
File,
also was
apparently.
irrelevant, really. If the truck driver touched his butthole, like that doesn't really do anything. I was just like, whatever. It contaminated the weed, whatever.
The 10,000 pounds of weed.
And that's about the weed. I poked the butthole because I've never seen a butthole before.
Yeah, that's fair.
That was great. I loved the. I haven't ever touched my wife's butthole either. I wrote that down in my notebook. Look at my notes. I put them in our Discord. Hold on, let me
Oh,
send
that's
it
so
to Derb,
funny.
too. I was just like trying so hard to make sense of any of it, and so I was just writing notes. Truck driver touched butthole confirmed. Truck driver witness said it was horrifying. Wife's butthole untouched.
Subscribes
Like, I
to
just
gay
was writing
asshole. Holy
Cameron
fuck.
is different live. Subscribes to gay asshole. Tier 3, in fact. This does not prove crime, however, only gay.
That's so funny. Holy shit.
I hope he just reads that and is like, what in the fuck happened?
Is he in that group chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the group chat.
Oh,
I put it
okay.
in.
I was gonna send it to him.
I put it
That's
in there
so
with no
funny.
fucking caption at all. But also, like, the beginning of it is like, Peter File was set up, ? 3 ounces on him. Like, he's gonna get that reference because he played Schedule 1.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
What the fuck is going on here?
Oh, that's so good.
Purple lubricant was found. So funny.